I mean, I am just completely freaked out. And I know you're freaked out too. It's just that sinking feeling. It's like I told you 3 months ago. I said, I got a bad feeling, and I've never had one like this. And of course, it's intellectual, too, with all the political information I had. I've been all over the map with you guys with the clips of what's coming up next. We're going to come back from break and play a very important report Aaron Dykes did that's just unbelievably important. Sheriff says teachers should be armed. Second Amendment shall not be infringed. We're going to play that. But right now, before we go to break, because it ties into this sheriff saying the same thing, basically, here's Judge Head over one of the big West Texas towns, Lubbock. This is before the election, saying, look, they're going to try gun confiscation. There's going to be a 1776, and I need more deputies to get ready for this. We're not going to turn the guns in. And then suddenly there's sheriffs and police chiefs all over the country and city councils who are now moving in this direction. In fact, so many of these are coming in, I can't even keep track of them right now. And, you know, you watch this sheriff, and he starts to cry. You know, you can hear him because he realizes what he's committing to. It's the sadness. He says, I'm so sad. It's not a fear of Obama. It's very sad. Ooh. And that's the sound I feel like I should make. Just woo. Ooh. Man, they're going to take everything. The fact they're going after the guns, that means they mean business. It's time to pray. I'm going to tell you right now, because, listen, they're going to push till you resist. They want you to resist. There's no way out of this. You understand that? There's no way out. The only hope we've got is breaking the trance, breaking the spell, getting angry. Now, here's Judge Head. When we come back, I'll play the other sheriff and others that are coming out. And I was watching this clip last night, and I watched this morning of this sheriff, and you can hear him getting chills. You hear him when he's talking go, and it's not fear. It's, oh, man, because everybody knows in their gut. That's why everybody's out buying 10 million guns a month right now. But you hear the, let's go to Judge Head. Here it is.
He is going to try to hand over the sovereignty of the United States to the UN. Okay, what's going to happen when that happens? I'm thinking worst case scenario.
Right,
okay?
I understand.
Civil unrest, civil disobedience, civil war, maybe. I mean, we're not talking just a few riots here and demonstrations. We're talking Lexington, Concord, take up arms and get rid of the guy. Okay, now what's going to happen if we do that? If the public decides to do that? He's going to send in UN troops. I don't want them in Lubbock County, okay? So I'm going to stand in front of their armored personnel carriers and say, you're not coming in here. And the sheriff, I've already asked him, I said, you going to back me? He said, yeah, I'll back you. Well, I don't want a bunch of rookies back there.
All right.
True.
I want trained.
Full clip is up at Infowars.com, so they're having to get ready. People say, that guy's crazy, it'll never happen. No, that's the guy who knows what's going on. That's an American right there. You either capitulate to the globalists and say, I give up, occupy us, carry out Agenda 21, or resist. My friends, you want to be conquered? You want to be run by foreign, ruthless, eugenicist-based banks who've wrecked every other country they dominate as a tool of control? Well, you're going to get what you want. Everybody else better get real aggressive. Just like I said a couple months ago when I said 1776, Part 2, we got to get politically aggressive. We got to move for secession because the federal government's been taken over. Secede to re-upload the republic, not to get rid of the republic. They're going to act like Obama is the George Washington rolled into Lincoln and is there to save us. That's how they're billing him, and now they're officially saying that. He's going to take your guns. Lincoln was a dictator. Obama can do it. That's the sales pitch. And they're trying to see if he can get away with it right now. They want to take this country over right now. This is the biggest news since 1776, what's happening right now. They're going for broke, okay? Let's go ahead and go to Aaron Dykes' special report on this. Here it is.
Aaron Dykes for Infowars.com. Now, we've already seen a big pushback against the system's gun control agenda. Now we're hearing from Rahm Emanuel that if you're not in law enforcement, if you're not a police officer, you need to shut your mouth and not weigh in on the Second Amendment.
Put the police chief and the law enforcement community front and center. Everybody else, from politician to whatever, take a back seat. Because the police chiefs have a credibility and authority and a voice on this.
First of all, we're not going to give up our First Amendment as you try to destroy the Second Amendment. We will never give up our First Amendment. We will never give up our Second Amendment. They are inalienable rights. They are not to be infringed. We're not going to be lectured to by the mayor of the murder capital of the world, Chicago, as you try to get these insane policies passed all around the country. But second of all, you haven't been listening to law enforcement who've been speaking up across the country saying we will not infringe, we will not enforce any unconstitutional gun laws. We heard a week and a half, 2 weeks ago from the Pennsylvania police chief of the small town who's introducing a Second Amendment defense ordinance to protect and keep the Second Amendment and saying they're going to nullify any laws which are unconstitutional and otherwise trying to infringe. We've seen Wyoming lawmakers and others trying to introduce legislation upholding the Second Amendment and reminding and sending the message back to Washington that they too will not be in part of infringing on the Second Amendment. And that's really what we need. We need people recognizing their legal jurisdiction at the state, local, and county level and saying, no, we're not going to cooperate with the feds. We will not participate in destroying our God-given and guaranteed rights. Now we're hearing from Sheriff Denny Payman of Jackson County, Kentucky. He too is saying he will not enforce federal gun grabbing laws. He's standing up for his oath. He's recognizing the fact that he is the highest law enforcement officer in his jurisdiction at the county level, and that even the feds do not have higher jurisdiction there and cannot tell him what to do.
If Obama passes this, it doesn't matter what he passes. The sheriff has more power than the federal people. They need to go back and they study that. We're a commonwealth. I can ask the federal people to leave, they have to leave. I can ask state people to leave, they have to leave.
And he's being asked by journalists how he's going to participate in confiscating guns, that dangerous task.
You're never going to pull a gun from Jackson County. I can't get there quick enough to help those people. My best help to them is to let them keep their firearm. I can't do it for the other counties. I can't stand up for them, but I can stand up for my people. And, you know, I was one of the first people to say, I think they need to arm school teachers. Not all of them, but there's somebody that needs to have a weapon there.
And it's so clear what's going on that this sheriff is saying the founding fathers will be turning over in their graves.
The Second Amendment makes that very clear, and our forefathers made that very clear. Otherwise, they would have been so high on the amendment, it would have been down the list someplace. To me, I would be ashamed if one of them was in this room right now and having to listen to what we're having to talk about. I would be ashamed to have them sit here and listen to all the people that have given their lives for this right for us. And we just give it up so flippantly just because somebody says so.
First of all, you shouldn't want to participate in destroying the things that make this country great. Our country was different. That's why the Bill of Rights and the Constitution gave us the, quote, 5,000-year leap. Second of all, this whole time...
All right, that full report is up at Infowars.com. Third hour coming up. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.